Shalom to everybody that might be coming into the live. Okay, Khan, the connection smooth. Okay, all right. Let's try this. Third time's the charm. All right, before it starts disconnecting me again. If ultimately we having too much, connection issues or whatever issues or technical issues, we'll reconvene till next week. All right, but I do have a couple topics I want to bring out. I'm saying this week. So if TikTok would be so gracious as to allow me to get through my show, I would appreciate it. All right, so as y'all come in, make sure y'all put your comments, put your thoughts in the comment section. I'm saying share, repost the live. I'm saying share it to groups, so on and so forth, so it can be seen by more people. I've got a few topics we want to go through today. The final topic being that we need to bring out the Vatican files. Like we have the Epstein files, or we have what they are allowing us to see of the Epstein files, but I'm saying I feel as though there's more files and there's more child abusers that need to be exposed. I'm saying, and I need to see these files. Like everyone's talking about, I'm saying they care about children and they're doing the work and this, that, and the third. But let me see them files, man. That's when I'll believe when you start punishing people who commit crimes. That's when I'll maybe start believing. Okay, you have some sort of morals, you have some sort of moral code, but of course it remains to be seen when it comes to I'm saying governments, when it comes to that Christian church, morals remain to be seen. All right, so let's see if it will allow me to share this story now. All right, so y'all can see that this article up on the right, up on the above me. Put one or a count in the chat. Let me see, cause it's been tripping me out all day. Most Zion Christ the water. All right, so let's read the story. So a British woman was unalived by her father while visiting his home in Texas. Had argued with him about U.S. President Donald Trump earlier that day. An inquest is heard. All right, so this white woman Lucy Harrison, right, from Warrington in Cheshire was a hole was put in her chest on the 10th of January 2025 in Prosper near Dallas. So this is over a year ago. This happened, but this story is resurfacing. All right, so police in the town investigated the 23-year-old's unaliving as possible manslaughter, but no criminal case was brought against Chris Harrison after a grand jury in Collin County declines to indict him. Interesting. So the man unalives his own daughter, but no criminal case was brought against him, and the grand jury just declined to indict him. The grand jury declined to bring him to trial because they love to say innocent until proven guilty, but when it comes to oppressors, they just never even it never gets a trial. Like they never really get a chance to be proven guilty. Like when it comes to a black man, you guilty until proven innocent. When it comes to a white man, you're either innocent until proven guilty, or just innocent because they don't want to prove you guilty. All right, but let's read on about this story. An inquest into Lucy Harrison's unaliving opened earlier at Cheshire Coroner's Court, where her boyfriend Sam Littler described the big argument about Trump, who was preparing to be inaugurated for a second term of office. All right, Littler, who traveled to the U.S. with Lucy Harrison for the holidays, said she'd often become upset with her father when he spoke about owning a gun. Interesting. The inquest also heard now Chris Harrison, who moved to the United States when his daughter was a child, had previously been to rehab for alcohol addiction. Chris Harrison, who did not attend the inquest, admitted in a statement sent to the court that he had relapsed on the day of the shooting and had drunk about 500 milliliters of white wine. So he was off the off the liquor, off the yak. You know what I'm saying? He about to, who was it, T-Pain? He about to blame it on the alcohol. Is what I'm seeing. He had relapsed, being sipping alcohol, and is that the reason he unalived his own daughter? Because I've drank alcohol before. I might have a little sip of red wine and white wine, little sip of E&J, Henny, all types of drinks. But I've never granted I don't have a daughter yet, but I've never had the desire to, you know, unalive somebody with anything, any object, any weapon, anything. You know what I'm saying? Let's carry on. So Littler said on the morning of the 10th of January, his partner, so the man's daughter, right? What's her name? Lucy. All right, so Lucy asked her father during the Trump row, "How would you feel if I was the girl in that situation and I'd been assaulted?" Right? So this is about Trump, and she's asking her father, "How would you feel if I was a girl, or I was the girl in that situation who was assaulted by Trump?" Right? How would you feel if I you know, I was listed in the Epstein files as one of the people that Donald Trump assaulted? You know what I'm saying? Or some other story. Because there's plenty of stories that have been, no story, there's plenty of allegations that have been put against Trump for abusing, you know, women and children. I mean, the man said he'd date his own daughter if she wasn't his daughter. And, you know, when it comes to oppressors, that doesn't usually stop them, to be honest with you. So, you know, or I suppose not dating, but, you know what goes on in those oppressor households. All right, let me see. Chris Harrison replied that the two other daughters who lived with him. Oh, good night. Chris Harrison had replied that he had two other daughters who lived with him, so it would not upset him that much. So that's the response he gave that upset Lucy, right? So he said, "Well, you know, I got two other daughters, you know, be alright." I mean, good night. That's a Trump supporter for you. Like that's MAGA right there. Like again, as I was bringing out before, they decided to shut me down on the previous live. Like you see, I've seen videos of these MAGA supporters saying, you know, well, you know, if so, what if he's a, you know, child abuser? So what if he's, you know, I'd still support Trump if you know he did this and he did that. I'd still support Trump if he unalives somebody right on the White House lawn. I'd still support him. I mean, good night. It seems as though this whole, you know, MAGA movement is just full of either PDF files themselves or people who will hide or support PDF files. Right? Kyle says, that doesn't even make sense. I have three daughters, so oh well if one gets assaulted. Like, how does that make sense? Like, the man doesn't even care if his own daughter gets assaulted because what? He has two other ones? Now, what does that mean? That your daughter still got assaulted? I guess he'd say the same thing if his daughter was unalive. Well, he's got two other ones. I mean, good night. Hold on, what's this? Okay. Right, so so the man said, well, he's got two other daughters, so, you know, it wouldn't upset him that much. Alright. Then we have, let's read on. He told the court that later that day, about half an hour before they were due to leave to the airport, Lucy had been in the kitchen where father took her by the hand and led her into his ground floor bedroom. So, good night. So, you know, she got upset and ran upstairs. But later on, she's downstairs in the kitchen, and he drags her by the hand and leads her into his bedroom. Okay, Littler said he heard a loud bang about 15 seconds later. Then Chris Harrison screamed for his wife, Heather. Now, me personally, I don't know about, you know, I understand not wanting to get involved in family drama, but you just witnessed your father, you just witnessed your girlfriend's father say that if your girlfriend was to be assaulted by Trump, then, you know, it wouldn't bother him. And then he grabs her by the hand and drags her into his bedroom. And you just, hey man, I'm not involved. I guess that's the situation. Because he heard a loud bang 15 seconds later, and then the man's calling for his wife. That's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. Littler said, I remember running into the room and Lucy was lying on the floor near the entrance to the bathroom, and Chris was just screaming, just sort of nonsense. The statement from Chris said he and his daughter had been watching a news item on gun crime when he told her he had a gun and asked her if she wanted to see it. Why you said led before, but now dragged? I said, I don't know if this Rob.115 is slow or something. I said lead because it's lead here in the article. But realistically, if you grab somebody by the hand and lead them into your bedroom, you're dragging them. I don't know if this person is slow or, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with them. I'm adding my own words because I'm telling the story. Like these articles love to downplay white crimes. Like this is what happens all the time. Like I don't, anyways, I don't care to respond to this special person. I don't carry on. So let me see where we at. So Chris the father is saying that they watched a news article or news item on gun crime where he told her he had a gun and asked her if she wanted to see it. So that is a bit of a conflicting story, you know, opposing what the boyfriend said. The boyfriend said, I'm saying that the man said he wouldn't care if his own daughter got assaulted. Then later on that day, dragged her into his bedroom and he heard a loud bang 15 seconds later. Now he's saying, we watched a news item on gun crime. Then the father told her that he had a gun and asked her if she wanted to see it. And then he went to go show her the gun, and she ended up getting, a hole put in her chest. About 15 seconds later. It's interesting. Interesting, different stories. Let me see. So he says after as I lifted the gun to show her, he just wanted to show her the gun. As he lifted the gun to show her, he suddenly heard a loud bang, and he didn't understand what happened, and Lucy immediately fell to the floor. And he could not recall whether his finger was on the trigger. Interested. And now here he's blaming it on the alcohol, blaming it on the juice, the liquor. That is it's fascinating. So this man unalived his own daughter. Even before unaliving him, said that he wouldn't mind if she got assaulted by Trump because he's a Trump supporter. I think this Rob.115 is also a Trump supporter, and he's saying I sound like a Diddy fan. I think you're the one who's a fan of Diddy, because I don't know what if I said that sounds as though I'm in support of Diddy, but you're the one crying about me changing wording about a guy who said he wouldn't mind if his daughter was assaulted, and then said he has two other daughters. He said he wouldn't feel bad because he's got two other daughters. So he's just willing to sacrifice his daughter to Donald Trump. And Carolina says, I'm sure he doesn't feel bad either. He has two other daughters. I guess not. I was just drunk and I went to, show my daughter my gun. And as I lifted it up to show her, there was a loud bang and she immediately fell. Is the story that he tells the court. Rob.115 says, I'm British. You're still a Diddy fan. Okay, I am also what you would class as British. I was born in Britain. What does that have to do with anything to do with Diddy? Diddy hasn't even... Okay, I think you're projecting, buddy. I'm going to go ahead and take you off the account. I don't mind, little troll comments and hate comments, but that's... Yeah, no Diddy. Go ahead and take you out of there. No sweat. So, and then so this happens. He unalives his own daughter over an argument about Donald Trump and assault, right? Assault on children, and the Texas grand jury or grand court decided not to press charges or anything, right? It says right here. She said Chris Harrison was the person in the room who shot Ms. Harrison, the only person in the room when it happened. Okay. Let me see right here. In a statement issued by his solicitors, Chris Harrison said he fully accepted the consequences of his actions. But he's not in prison. He fully accepts the consequences of his actions, but he lies and says it was over some gun article. She wants to see his gun, and as he's showing her, the gun just miraculously goes off, just mysteriously goes off. He hears a loud bang, and my daughter just fell on the floor. But of course, he fully accepts the consequences of his actions. Of course. So let's move on to the next story. So the next story, I just found that a little interesting. You know what I'm saying? These right-wing individuals and real Diddy fans. I don't know what this like. I don't know what this man was talking about in my comments, but we move forward. People like that who you know, are willing to sacrifice their own children over Donald Trump. I mean, to me, that sounds pretty, you know, pause to me. Like, as a man, you support this other man so much that you'd be willing to just, you know, unalive even your own daughter over what? Saying, you know, being upset that you wouldn't be mad if Donald Trump assaulted her. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. I mean, good night. So let's get my next story. All right, the next story is about, let me see where I want to start. It's about the new Archbishop of Westminster. Right, so as I was saying earlier, right, as I was bringing out earlier, they've appointed a new Archbishop of Canterbury, right, which is some woman that they've put in to distract everyone from the fact that, you know what I'm saying, the reason the previous, you know, Archbishop Justin Welby was taken from his position, or I should say, not even taken. He chose to resign. He entered an early retirement, and, you know, he stepped down from his position of Archbishop of Canterbury because he failed to, you know, properly deal with or properly investigate or properly look into a huge child abuse scandal that was going on in the church. You know, and in other news, water is wet. And so they've appointed this new Archbishop of Canterbury, which is a woman, and everyone's, you know, celebrating, oh, the first woman Archbishop, and women this and woman that, and she's a feminist, and all this, that, and the third. But that doesn't change the fact that, okay, well, now you're in position, this woman who, you know, you're saying you're a feminist, you care about women, you know, she's a woman, so you expect her to be an even more compassionate person, or person who cares about children and receiving justice for children. You think so? So you know, it remains to be seen. Well, are you going to properly investigate all the other stories that you know are going on about child abuse in the church? Like, are you going to be the one that is now going to out all these people that have just been, you know, going case after case after case of assault, being moved from church to church to church to church, or different positions or whatever, or fleeing the country? Are you going to be the one that's going to release the Vatican files? That's what I want to know. Are you going to be the one that's going to expose and uproot the Church of England? Is it going to be you, or is it going to be this newly elect Archbishop? So this is the Archbishop of Westminster, right? Richard Moth, who as he gets let's read this article right here, right? As he gets appointed or installed as the Archbishop, it says right here, so new Archbishop of Westminster urges greater understanding of the struggles of the vulnerable. So Richard Moth, are you going to be the one who speaks out, like really speaks out, not just says, you know, we need to do better for the vulnerable, and we need to put the victims first? Like, that's all good saying that, but are you going to be the one to expose the people who are abusing the vulnerable? That's what really should be, you know what I'm saying, if you care about the vulnerable and want to have greater understanding. I can give a damn about your greater understanding, and understanding how, you know what I'm saying, your priests and bishops and how they assaulted the children, and how it really, you know, impacts their life. You could have all the understanding you want. You could do all the investigation. I'm sure Epstein was plenty interested in how, you know what I'm saying, abusing those children affected them or impacted them. But, you know, did he do anything? You know, did he stop? Did he stop it from happening? I mean, was there any change? Was there any real change? So let's read on. At his official installation, Archbishop Richard Muth recognized the Catholic Church's failures, but insists it's a time of opportunity. The same old recycled garbage we've heard like forever. Every single time it's an opportunity for learning, and we need to grow and put the victims first, and we need to make sure this doesn't happen again, or safeguard or update our procedures and policies to just make sure this never happens again. And really it's just making sure they never get caught, which they fail at every time because the lust has no bounds. The lust has absolutely no bounds, right? So he says, the new leader of the Roman Catholics in England and Wales has said the church has failed vulnerable people, urging more work to be done. Of course, that famous phrase that there's the work to be done. There's always just so much work to be done. Like constantly, it's almost as if nobody's doing the work. Because if there was work to be done and people were doing the work, there would no longer be work to be done. But the work to be done, I mean, this almost sounds like a poem. The work to be done remains to be done, so the work is not being done. I mean, I'm not a mathematician, but I can put 2 and 2 together. You know what I'm saying? I know what 1 minus 1 is. The work minus the work being done equals no more work to be done. The work to be done. But there's still work to be done means there's nothing being subtracted. There's no work to be done. I'll put it that way. I don't want to, you know, put math into this. But let me see. So at a ceremony, more work needs to be done to address the struggles of refugees and learn from victims of abuse. At a ceremony where he was officially installed in his new role as Archbishop of Westminster, Richard Muth said, "Here I am most aware of every occasion." This is key. I like this sentence right here. "Here I am most aware of every occasion of which members of the church or the church as a whole have failed, most especially when the vulnerable people or when the vulnerable have been abused." So he says in this new position, he is the most aware of every occasion on when members of the church have abused the vulnerable. So Mr. Richard, since you're aware, or the most aware of every occasion, are you going to expose those that abuse the vulnerable? Like you're saying, you're listening to them, and you're understanding them. He says such failures calls for listening to and learning from those who've suffered so grievously. Like you understand that these people have suffered. You understand, or you claim to understand. You're saying that it's wrong. These people have suffered grievously. These people deserve to be safe. But what are you doing? What are you doing to do the work? Like you talk about the work that needs to be done, but where's the work? I want the list. Give me the Vatican list from even above the Church of England. Let's go all the way up to the Pope. I want the whole list of everybody that's abusing children, everybody that's abusing women and young men, and all types of, you know, freaky things going on in that church. I want to see how many, you know, members of the what they call it, the clergy. I want to know how many members of the clergy in those Epstein files. That's what I want to know. I'm sure a couple of y'all bishops and deacons and whatever the hell was on that island. I can almost guarantee it. Or if not on that island, you damn near create your own islands. Like I want to know. I want to get these Vatican files since you know, care about these victims so much. And so let's play a video. There's a couple of videos I've got. Let me see which one I want to play next. So I suppose this I'll play this one. This woman interviewing almost asked him the same question that I'm asking today. Right? Let's play this video.
I think there are a good number of people in our society who are fearful about many things at the moment. I think there's one sees around a deal of anger and anxiety amongst many people, also a great deal of good. But I think into those places of anxiety, the church has something very important to bring.
There is a
So more Christian mumbo jumbo and the old Christian shuffle, and this woman retorts with this.
backdrop to this conversation of a huge political and moral scandal in the Epstein files.
Right, so that's what they're talking about. When he was giving that whole spiel about there's a whole lot of anxiety and discomfort about what's going on in the world, but there's also a lot of good. And that's what the church is here for, and all that mumbo jumbo. What they're talking about is the Epstein files. What they're talking about is the biggest, trafficking ring, ever, with some of the people in the highest positions in the world, those rulers of darkness of this world, the spiritual wickedness in high places, the Epstein files. I'm playing on.
Fallout. Do you see the parallels with the abuse scandal in the Roman Catholic Church? Powerful men.
That's a very good question. Do you see the parallels in the scandals of the Christian church? The same way the Epstein list and the whole Epstein situation is a bunch of, men in power and women in power, mind you. Don't think it's just man and this, that, and the third. There's women involved in this freaky stuff too. Right? These men and women in high places abusing their power, abusing people, and it being hidden and covered over. Do you see a parallel between the old Epstein situation, the Epstein files, and the church?
Abusing countless victims.
The Epstein case is horrendous. First priority in that Epstein case is that need to listen to the victims. One thing that we have learned very strongly is the need to listen to victims.
Does the
And that's it. That's the response. So, sir, do you see the parallel? Like, what do you think about the parallel between the Epstein list and the church? Both, people in power abusing countless victims. Well, the Epstein files, he said, is just horrendous. And what it's really just shown me is that we need to listen to the victims. Next question. I mean, what do y'all think? Y'all letting him get away with that? Are you letting him get away with this answer? For some reason, she is, because I think this is honestly just like a tick box question. Like you needed to ask the question because it's the question on everybody's mind. It's the question that I would ask. It's the question on absolutely everybody's mind, so you need to make it seem as though you're actually asking the question. But when he does not answer the question really and just gives the same old Christian mumbo jumbo about listening to the victims and the work that needs to be done, I mean, what are we talking about? So if there's work that needs to be done, Richard, are you doing the work? Let me play his answer one more time, just to make sure I'm not tripping, because to me that did not answer the question at all. Like I don't know if I'm tripping or maybe I misheard, but that's what it is. I probably misheard, and somewhere in here he answered the question, right? Surely, right? Let's see.
backdrop to this conversation of a huge political and moral scandal in the Epstein files. Fallout. Do you see the parallels with the abuse scandal in the Roman Catholic Church? Powerful men abusing countless victims.
The Epstein case is horrendous. First priority in that Epstein case is that need to listen to the victims. One thing that we have learned very strongly is the need to listen to victims.
And that's, so where's the answer to the question? Like, where's the answer to the question? Okay. Maybe he'll circle back to it. Maybe he'll, circle back to it and really address the failure of the church to expose prolific child abusers. People who have abused countless victims. Maybe he'll circle back to it. Let's play on.
Does the royal family have responsibility to the victims?
Well, of course, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has protested his own position, but as in recent days, the King has expressed a wish to be the royal family to engage in the process, and I think that's a very important sign and signal for everybody. Yeah.
Should
I mean, good night. This man is like, I mean, political laws answers. Like he a politician for real is what he is. So for some reason we've switched from comparing the church to the Epstein files, which is a very fair comparison, more than fair. It's an important comparison, right? It's absolutely mandatory to make that comparison. If you don't, you're a failure of a journalist. So as he skirts that question, now he asks, should the royal family, do something about Andrew, Prince Andrew, who's named in the Epstein files. There was that photo of him leaning over some unconscious woman or whatever. He's in the Epstein files and he has, assault cases of his own, right? And should he, he's paid out to victims and so on and so forth, but he's never faced any justice, which seems to be the theme. In the same way Donald Trump has not faced any justice for his involvement, Prince Andrew has not faced any justice for his involvement. All these priests and bishops and deacons and archbishops and so on and so forth have not faced any justice for their involvement, for their active involvement in abusing children. Which again, like as I said last week, you'd think that universally we could all agree on, the protection of children, and that the opposite, the abuse of children, is one of the worst things somebody could commit. Like, you might not agree that smoking, narcotics or doing narcotics is wrong. You might not agree that being LGBTQ plus AI plus is wrong. But on a human level, you'd think that universally we can agree that abusing children is wrong, and the people that do so need to receive punishment. You'd think we could agree on that, but let's just run back this political laws answer that he gives and ducks the question again, damn near entirely.
To the victims.
Well, of course, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has protested his own position, but as in recent days, the King has expressed a wish to be the royal family to engage in the process, and I think that's a very important sign and signal for everybody. Yeah.
Should.
So again, just kind of not answering the question at all. He's just saying, what's happening, and yeah, sure, it's an important step. Well, yeah, but answer the question: should he be punished? Should something happen to him? It's interesting that he's kind of avoiding very particular parts of the questions. It's like he can't say the child abusers should be punished. It's like he can't say. He just says we need to listen to the victims. And the King thinks that in recent years, which is again stupid as hell, because we knew about Prince Andrew and his whole scandals and this, that, and the third. We knew about that years ago, years and years and years ago. When I was a child, I'm hearing about Prince Andrew and this, that, and the third. We knew about this years ago, but in recent, now the Epstein files are out and it's resurfaced and he's in the list and this, that, and the third. Now it's as if it's being treated as it's new again. It's not new. This isn't news. This ain't late. It ain't breaking news. But now, now he's in the list and people are bringing it up again. Now the King is thinking of, shoot, what do I do to get these people off my back? We got to do something. We have to punish him somehow. What do we do? I don't know. How do I punish him? How do I give him the old, proverbial slap on the wrist that we always give to these oppressors in power? How do we do that? It's like this archbishop that again is meant to care about the vulnerable. It's like he can't say the words. We need to punish the criminals. That it's simple. I just said it. It's like, how many syllables? Punish the criminals. 2, 1, 3. 6 syllables? Punish the criminals. Just can't say it. Let's play on. And even if you're saying, you're agreeing that Prince Andrew should be punished, well, should all those priests and bishops and all those people that the Church of England or the church as a whole is hiding and harboring and moving around from church to church to church, should they be punished? These are the questions we should be asking. But again, he can't answer.
The king go further for the sake of those who have been victims in this situation?
That justice must be found in this situation.
Jesus.
And
These political answers. Should the king go further? This is a criminal act. Somebody should be criminally charged. Should the king go further? Well, justice and, I mean...
sign and signal for everybody, yeah.
Should the king go further for the sake of those who have been victims in this situation?
That justice must be found in this situation, and
Should Andrew Mountbatten Windsor step up and face justice?
Right, she getting a little bit more straight to the question, because I think she's even getting, a little bit annoyed of his political answers. He completely dodged the Epstein thing. So she being direct. Should he face criminal charges? Should he step up and face criminal charges?
I think that he should, yes. I think the point has come where that judicial process needs to take place.
So he says, okay, all right, you're not letting me get out of it. Sure, I think he does. I think that time has come that the judicial process needs to be carried. What did he say? Let me run this back a little bit.
Mountbatten Windsor step up and face justice?
I think that he should, yes. I think the point has come where that judicial process needs to take place.
I think the point has come where the judicial process needs to take place. So we knew about these cases like years and years and years ago, but now the point has come where the judicial process needs to take place. So before that, the judicial process didn't need to take place, but now the time has come. Now the time when it's on everybody's mind. Matter of fact, let me look this up. When did the Prince Andrew scandal first emerge? Like, when did we first hear about this for it now to be the time, right? The scandal surrounding Prince Andrew and his association with Jeffrey Epstein first emerged in 2011, driven by photographic evidence and reports of continued contact after his 2008 conviction. While Epstein was first arrested in 2006, media scrutiny intensified in March 2011, leading to Andrew's resignation as a UK trade envoy. So this thing goes back to 2008, 2010, 2011. Right? You see right here, December 2010, despite claims of cutting ties in 2008, Prince Andrew was photographed walking with Epstein in New York. 2011, increased media pressure regarding the friendship forced questions about his role in special representation for international trade and investment, and being a member of the royal family. Right? Let me zoom this in for you as well so you can see. Right? 2014 and 2015. Okay, so at this point, specific allegations of sexual assault from Virginia Giuffre first appeared in U.S. court filings in late 2014, right, with the police reviewing the claims in 2015. Although the relationship was known earlier, so on and so forth, right? So it was 2014, 2015, he was a specific scandal or assault case came out against Prince Andrew himself. So, you could say, well, he was, friends with Epstein after Epstein got, arrested for all the wicked things he was doing, right? Still friends with Epstein up to 2011. right? And then 2014, 2015, a specific case comes against Andrew himself. But now, over 10 years later, right? So if we're going on 2014, 2015, that's 11, 12 years. Now is the time that justice needs to be, now is the time for the judicial system to be, how did you word it again? Let's play this one more time.
I think that he should, yes. I think the point has come where that judicial process needs to take place for the good of the victims in this situation.
So, Andrew.
So now, 11 to 12 years later, now is the time the judicial process needs to take place for the good of the victims. Does this sound like a man who's going to change anything in the church? Does this sound like a man that that here he's most aware of every occasion in which members of the church or the church as a whole have failed when the vulnerable have been abused? Does this sound like a man who's going to do anything about those who abuse the victim, the abusers? Y'all let me know in these comments. Like, does this sound like a man who's going to, bring change to the church? I mean, we know no changes. I mean, the church is anti-Christ. We know that. The church is absolutely against the Bible. The church is filled with excess and abuse and all manner of things. But, is he going to do anything? Hold on. You haven't ended my live, have we? All right, we still going. Hold on. They're trying to say I'm breaking some other policy. Let's move on to the next video. There's some other policy I'm breaking apparently. I don't want to get this page flagged. So let's move on to the next one. Let's give Richard another chance to talk about how he's going to do the work and bring out the list of all those that the church has been hiding for so long. You and I were appointed as Archbishop of Westminster. You're saying, we need to listen to these victims and so on and so forth. So let's see. Let's give him one more chance to really talk about how he's going to do the work.
And can I ask you where you think the church now is on the question of abuse and so on? I've talked to your previous predecessors who were faced with very difficult issues. Do you think that the church now has made that fundamental shift of putting the abused and the survivors first, ahead of us, if you like, what some might have thought the interests of the institution? Do you think that sea change has happened?
I believe so now, I do. I think what happens is that and it's been a painful journey for the church, and it needed to.
It's been a painful journey for the church. All these accusations of assault and all these victims coming out. It's been so painful for the church. It's been so painful for the church, and it needed to be because these are ridiculous. But I mean, why are you talking about painful for the church? Why is that the first thing you say? Again, I thought we were listening to the victims and understanding about how the victims were affected. You're talking about it's been painful for the church. It's been painful for those little boys and little girls. That's who it's been painful for.
Because people are victims of abuse, and one of the things that we have learnt is the need to listen to the victim, to listen.
I mean, I've heard this man say this BS like 5 times. We pass listening to the victims, and we understand that we do need to listen to the victims. We need to charge the assaulters. The same thing with these Epstein files will come out. Who is involved? Throw them under the jail. Throw them under the prison. Let's get a little old school and pick up some stones from somewhere. Let's go to a beach and just pick up a bunch of stones and take them to a certain place. These people need to be punished. We're past listening to the victims. We're past that. We understand. You've said that enough times. The Christian church has been saying that for decades. Actual decades. There's work to do. We need to listen to the victims. The same PR BS.
To the survivors.
Let's give him a chance. Maybe he's gonna, talk about actually exposing those who abuse children. Maybe. Let's give him a chance.
And you personally have made time to do that.
I do, and I want to. It's become part now of. I think my brother bishops would agree with me. It's become part of Episcopal ministry now. The ministry of the bishop is to spend time listening and learning from those who are survivors of abuse. That's something that we must do.
So more listening and learning. Okay.
I think in the earlier days, if you like, when the problems really began to come to light, it was necessary.
We keep really shying away from, the word, like, in the early days when, the problems really started, like, what's the problem we're talking about? Like, this ain't just, this ain't something small. This ain't, what's a small thing that could go on in a church? This ain't, pastor slipping a little £10 in his pocket from the offering plate and, not we all know they don't care about the flock and, using that money to help the people. This ain't even something that's monetary. This ain't something that's, whatever they could be hiding in that church. This ain't something, I say small, but really all these things that the Christian church is known for is ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous. We're talking about the abuse of little boys and little girls in that Christian church. In the early days when these problems started to arise.
When the problems really began to come to light, it was necessary and right to look at the regulation issue. We now have very robust procedures in place. We work alongside the statutory agencies at every step. But that has now moved from just regulation to culture. And I think that culture that we need is now embedded in a way that has never been in the past.
So previously, the way we would deal with the abuse of children was just to deal with, we would look at the regulations and what are the laws, we would make sure we're following the law. Oh, the law, that's it. The law says we can't abuse children. See, I thought, I almost imagined like the T and the apostrophe wasn't there. I thought it said can. But okay, the regulations, okay, we can't abuse children. Got it, right. But, it used to be about that, apparently. That was their response. But now it's, it's embedded in the culture of the church to not abuse children. Okay, it's embedded in the culture, according to Richard. Interesting.
And have you reflected? You must have reflected on why this happened. I mean, there's a case even today in America where...
And there's a case, this interview I think is from a day ago. There's a case even just yesterday of somebody else being abused by the church. I thought it was ingrained in the culture. I mean, good night.
Where these issues have been raised once more. What do you think went wrong? That the church, that this abuse happened, and that the church seemed not to put it as a major priority in the past.
What do you think happened that, it seemed as if though previously the church wasn't putting it as a major priority to deal with these assaulters, to deal with it. It seemed as though, it wasn't a priority. It's a fancy way of saying, why did the church hide PDF files? Why did the church protect PDF files? Why did the church continue to harbor and protect and perpetrate the actions of a PDF file? Just to translate that to the more direct, people who are more direct audience,
As a major priority in the past, needed to be woken up, if you like, by outside figures. Have you reflected on why that happened?
I have. I suppose there is that human reaction that how can this be? surely not. We don't want to believe this. And
I mean, yeah, sure. If it was like one allegation, you know, that was just took everybody by storm and shock. Now it's damn near a new allegation every week, every month, every whatever. I mean, there is no shock that somebody in the Christian church is abusing children. That there is no shock. So, I mean, what are we talking about? This is something that is damn near a common joke. Like I say damn near, it is. It's everybody makes a joke about how the Christian church abuses children and priests abuse children. If you want to talk about culture, that's the culture. That's the culture you have. And anybody listening to Victims, it's about it. The culture you have is abusing children. And that's the culture that we're all noticing. So that's what comedians make the jokes about.
even those sometimes closest to those who've been abused think, no, couldn't possibly be. And again, I come back to what I was talking about earlier on, is this issue of the other, where they're simply to minister to other people. And once you lose that, then things start to potentially can go awry. And I think that's what's happened for those individuals who behaved in that way.
So, just to reiterate, he wants to, remind us that the mission of the Christian church is to minister, right? Right. I mean, something that's been going on this whole interview. Kayla says, not their feet holding hands. I mean, it just goes to show, damn near, the church and the media, they're holding hands. Because even the media has not been holding the church to the fire that they should be. Even the way they're asking these questions is so soft and passive and like, hold their feet to the fire. He's the most aware of every situation where the church has abused the vulnerable. Release the list. Release the Vatican list. But they holding feet. They playing footsie during the interview. I mean, no diddy.
And I think that's what's happened for those.
So what happened with the people that have been abusing children is, they just went beyond their job. They went above and beyond. Like we just supposed to minister to people. We're not supposed to, get a little hands-on in our approach. They just went, they were just too zealous. That's what it is. They're just too zealous for the work of God. Is what it is. We're just supposed to minister. They just got a little too passionate. Took a bit too much of a hands-on approach. Is what it is, and that's why those individuals behaved in that way. Like look at the way he's talking.
Can go awry, and I think that potentially.
And that's where things, once you lose that, the fact we're just supposed to be ministering. Once you lose that, that's where things can, potentially go awry.
Lose that, then things start to potentially can go awry. And I think that's what's happened for those individuals who behaved in that way.
And he thinks that's what happened for the individuals that, abused children. He thinks they just lost their way. Like, just supposed to minister. Anything aside from that, he just, things have the potential to go wrong. Richard, release the list. Release the list. And until then, I mean, the Christian church has always been a bag of fecal matter. It's always been a bag of feces. It's never been about truth. It's never been it's quite literally one of the biggest lies. So everything Christianity teaches is one of the biggest lies the earth has ever been told. I mean, straight up and down. They are the Antichrist. Like, Christ is a dark-skinned black man with woolly hair, but they teach you that Christ is white. Christ only came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel, but they tell you Christ came for everybody. Christ said he didn't come to destroy the laws, but they tell you that the laws are nailed to the cross with Christ, and we're in grace. According to the Bible, it's wrong. It's against the law to be a member of the LGBTP LMNOP. It's it's against the law to be that. But according to the church, God loves you. God knows your heart. God made you that way. I mean, good night. Like, the church is everything against the Bible. So, for anybody who still foolishly believes in the Christian church or whatever, at the very least, you should hold their feet to the fire. Not hold their feet, not join feet and hand in hand. Hold their feet to the fire. The same way you might about Trump and the DOJ not releasing the files and this, that, and the third. Hold the church to the same standard. Hold them to that same standard. And until they do so, I mean, good night. There is no way you could justify it. There's just no way you could justify that. With that, that is my show. You know what I'm saying? Let's give that a hand. If my sound effects will work. Hold on, let me try it one more time. Sound effects work. Let's give that a hand. Alright. Until then, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate everybody for watching. Appreciate all the support, all the comments, you know what I'm saying? Most High in Christ. With that, shalom to all the brothers, Yahweh Shem Yahushua Barakatham. And shalom to our sisters, Yahweh Shema Ilathan, Ba'ashem Yahushua.
Screaming more fire, even more fire. I just gotta pray for more fire. I'm hoping he calling more fire.